I'm Arshadullah Khan, trainer at BISP. So I've been in this industry for last 2.5 years, and I've been into mobile application development. So let me introduce myself. I am from Bangalore, Karnataka. So I did my engineering from Bangalore itself. Currently I am into freelancing and training activities with BISP and other organizations. Okay, we'll start it with mobile application development. So this will be the agenda of the day. So we'll start up with the mobile application development, and I will just give you introduction to the Android platform and platform architecture. Then we'll be coming on to the application building blocks, development tools that we use in Android, and we'll have a Hello World program, and I'll be taking up questions in the last. Okay, so this will be the basic agenda for the day. Okay, so what does the word Android mean? The word, basic meaning of the word Android. It is actually something related to a male features, so male characteristics. So the word itself means it is something related to a male features or male characteristics. So why has been there is a lot of craze about mobile application development nowadays? So we have smartphones coming up which have easy access to internet. We can use the internet anytime, anywhere, wherever we want. So it is accessible anywhere. So there is a lot of craze about smartphones now. So that's why the mobile application domain and the mobile application business is at the peak now. So there are like millions of users all around the world. So just taking for India, there are like millions of users here who are getting transported to the smartphone devices, who have access to internet all the time. So that is the reason why the mobile application development nowadays is picking up a lot. Okay. So coming on to the introduction of the mobile, the Android, it is an open source operating system which is open source to the developers, to the users, and to the industry. So there is no licensing required to access the source code of Android. So it is completely free and open source. Okay. The complete stack, what it contains, the Android complete stack, operating system stack, it has an OS and it has a middleware and it has an application side. So this is how the interaction happens between OS, middleware, and application side. The application side is basically the topmost layer, which is where the users interact. And middleware is nothing but it's in the middle between the lower layer, which is kernel. You have a kernel where all the drivers and other hardware related code is written. So middleware interacts with the lower layer, which is the hardware layer, and the upper layer, which is the application layer. So this is what we have in terms of the stack. It's an open handset, as I told you, it's an open source. So it's an open handset alliance. So all the companies like Samsung, Nokia, now Nokia is also into Android, Motorola, LG, they have an open handset alliances. They meet every once in a year or so with Android, with Google, and so they decide on the agenda for the next year or so. They plan the goals for the next year, how Android will be into the market. So it's an open handset alliance project, so where everybody is a developer, everybody contributes to the code. Okay, yeah. And also coming on to the operating system which is used in Android, it is a Linux operating system. This is also an open source code which can be accessed easily, which can be modified easily. So yeah. So basically the application development, which will be the focus of this training, will be in Java. The basic application development will be in Java, so which is nowadays feasible to understand and faster execution of the code. So this is where the Google thought will use Java for application side, but the middleware is written in the C code, middleware and the lower layer, which is the kernel programming, that is all written in the C code. Yeah. So this is the history of Android. I'll just hide this thing. It doesn't hide. Yeah. So this is the history of the various versions that Google came up with. The first was the cupcake, then the donut, then the eclair, and then was the froyo. Then we have gingerbread, honeycomb, and ice cream sandwich, jelly bean, and KitKat. And KitKat is the latest one, which is around in the market now. So these are the various versions and the history of how Android came into the market, and it is still in a lot of more versions will be coming on in the coming years. So these are the various versions of Android. Yeah. So let me get into more about what actually, why Android is gaining a lot of craze all around the world, and why is there a lot of, a lot of application development happening. So the reason is it is basically an open source operating system. So anybody, anywhere who has a basic knowledge of Java can get into Android programming. So that is where it becomes an easy way, and there are a lot of forums, there are a lot of open source things which makes it easy for Android application development. So there is a faster and efficient development process that Android takes up, so that the development process is very fast and the delivery to the market is very fast, so that the companies are developing in a very efficient and a faster way. And as you see, in every 6 months there is a new version of Android coming up with new features, with new technologies, new innovations. So this is where Android has advantage over other operating systems like Apple and other Symbian. Yeah. So yeah, this is where the innovation, because of the innovation and the creativity with people execute their features in Android, is what it makes more attractive to the user, and so it has a so that's why it's gaining a lot of market in all around the world. Yeah. Okay. Let me come to the this will be the basic application framework, the complete Android framework. So at the lower level is your Linux kernel, where the hardware interaction, the hardware code drivers programs are written. Some of the drivers like display drivers, camera drivers, flash memory drivers, and binder drivers. Various power management happens here, and audio drivers happens here. So it is basically programming for how to run hardware within the device. So for example, if we have a camera in a device, so there should be a program we have an Linux kernel where all the hardware interaction code is written, and above that layer there is something called as libraries. For example, we have some graphic libraries, we have some database libraries, WebKit, which is all related to websites, and SSL is related to your networks, and media is related to your audio and video frameworks. So basically this library code is also written in C program, and where this is also an open source code. We can modify this libraries, we can innovate the code, we can make it more efficient, we can integrate some efficient and smart algorithms here so that these features, they get more efficient and we present in an effective way. Okay, so basically today we are just getting into the overview of Android. I won't be getting into the details. We will just go into the overview of complete what Android contains. Okay, so that we get a complete and whole picture of Android. So above this, we have a Android runtime, which is a very efficient and very special runtime, which is called a Dalvik virtual machine. This is where all your code gets compiled and built. So this is an Android runtime which is very proprietary to Android. It's called Dalvik virtual machine. Okay. So above that layer is the layer which we will be focusing in this training, which is application framework. It is a very important framework for our training. So it has various components. It's called Activity Manager. Activity Manager is nothing but what user sees in the UI, all the components like the screen and the command buttons, the various list boxes and the various labels. Whatever user sees in the phone is an activity. It's a screen is an activity. A UI screen is an activity. Okay. Then it has content providers. This feature we use it for database management. And we have a view system which has all the framework for labels, buttons, combo boxes and other radio buttons. Then we have package manager, which has a framework related to all the packages we will be using in our project. And there is a telephony manager which contains information related to your telephony like a ringing state, vibration state, and call, cutting the call. And so it has a track of all the features related to the telephony side. And resource manager is an efficient way to track in the various resources we use in our application. Like for example, we're using some PNG, that is some image file which has .jpeg extension and .png extension. The various other extensions and various other XML files we use in our project. So these are all managed in Resource Manager. Coming on to other components like Notification Manager. Notification Manager you must have seen while using the Android phones. Whenever there is a message or something, there is a notification that you get. So this is how this Notification Manager is. Notifications are tackled using the various features and options in the Notification Manager. Okay. This was basically the application framework and its various components. Yeah. So above this layer is your actual application. This is what your user sees. So user doesn't have any idea about the lower layers, what is happening. User only sees the above layers, which is the applications. Okay. The various applications like your contacts application, where you have all your contacts listed and all the logs listed, and you have various applications like browser application, your Chrome and your Microsoft Internet browser application, various like application, and various other applications like calculator and timer, game applications. So they are all in the application which users interact. Okay. So this is basically the architecture of Android system. This is just an overview. We will get into the depth as we are progressing in our trainings. Okay. Yeah. Yes. So let me get into some more new technologies that are coming in Android. how Android is progressing as an operating system. I would like to mention one of the technologies that are yet to come in the market. For example, there is a technology called augmented reality. We have now is Google Maps, where we can just we can traverse the way and we can locate some location from one place to another place. It gives us direction: take left, take a right. So we efficiently reach the destination. And so there is something of a similar called that is called an augmented reality. The use case here is, for example, if we are standing in front of a 11th floor building, 10 or 12th floor building, and we want to go somewhere in 6th floor to some place. But we don't have an idea to how to traverse the direction. So what this augmented reality concept and app does is it sends all the signal to all the direction, and it shows you all the track and the direction you can traverse. So you can just locate the 6th floor and the place you want to go. So it just shows you the direction, which lift you need to take, and how much, which door you need to get in, and you have to take right or you have to take left. So it is like a traversing within the building. So it shows all the directions and all the path you need to travel to reach that destination. This is one of the more kind of innovations and the upcoming technologies that are coming in Android. So likewise, there are like a lot of scope in Android to expand its horizon in terms of innovation. There are like many ideas come up in day-to-day life which can be implemented in terms of application, collaborating various features of application, collaborating various application and using for a smart purpose to solving some issues in the real world. Yeah. Nowadays, you must have heard the Android applications are being used for tracking the parking lots. Okay, whether you'll be in a hassle to park your car when you're going somewhere to a mall or some area. So when you have that application, it actually tells you which parking lot is free for you to occupy. So it makes your work efficient. It saves a lot of time, saves a lot of hassles. So yeah, these are various application of various technologies that are bound to come in coming days. Yeah. Okay, let me get into more crux of the system, Android system. We'll just get into some few details. So as I said, it has a Linux kernel which does all the memory management, process management, and networking related operations. So this is basically Linux kernel. And then we have libraries. It has C and C++ libraries. We have graphics, and SQLite is nothing but a database management site where we store all our data and key and value things. Which has various components, as I said you. And this is your applications, various applications. Okay. Okay. Next, we'll be moving on to application building blocks. So we'll be focusing only on the application side, how we build mobile applications using the various components that are there in the Android framework. So using this Android framework, we'll be building the various applications. Like any application, if you have some ideas, like I want to build this kind of an application, so we can use all the features in the Android framework and collaborate, and we can build our own application. So I'll be moving on to the building blocks of applications. So basically, there are 4 building blocks of Android applications. The first one is activity, and then there is an intent receiver, and you have service, and then content providers. So one by one I'll be getting into the depth of what activity, intent receiver, service, and content provider mean. So activity is nothing but a screen. It's a UI. It's what you see in the phone. If you have an Android phone, you can just so you can just have a look. The home screen, that is also an activity. When you click into some application, for example, you're clicking into some calculator application. So something comes up. There's certain keys, numbers, the buttons 1, 2, 3, and 0, minus, plus. So there is a text box where you enter the number. When you click, it shows the number. So this whole component is called an activity. It is a UI component. So whatever you see in a single screen is a single activity. So an application can have many activities. It can have more than 10 activities, sometimes 20 activities. So depending on the kind of application we are building up, so we can have many activities. So there basically the idea of interacting between 2 activities is accomplished by intents. So intents are nothing but they are the components which allow you to interact between 2 activities. For example, when you are in one activity, for example, a calculator activity, and you want to enter some number, you have to calculate 20 into 10. So you get 200, and then on getting 200, you want to move on to something else, some other activity. For example, that 200 you want to send it to your mail. So this is how an intent, you send an intent containing that 200 value to that mail, to that ID you are sending. Okay. Then we have an intent receiver. Intent receivers are, for example, when a phone is ringing, and your application wants to track if the receiver is, if the phone is ringing, or is it in the silent, or if it wants to track the kind of mode the phone is in. So we can use this intent receiver functionality, where it can track the kind of response it needs. Yeah. This is what the intents I spoke about, where we can send various intents to an activities and receive intents. This is one of the examples. I'll show you how intents operate. Okay. A client component makes a request for some action. For example, if you want to, in a Gmail application, you want to pick up a photo, then there is an intent that is sent to the photo gallery. So Gmail application is one application, and photo gallery is one application. So system picks the best component for the action, that is, it picks the phone gallery application, and there is an intent that is sent to the phone gallery. So you select a photo from your phone gallery. Example, Picasa, you select this, and so this was one of the examples how 2 applications they communicate with each other. Yeah, this was all about intents. So I'll just quickly go through what are services. Services, they don't have a UI component as such. They run in background. They basically use for sorry, long-running operations, like if you're downloading some file or if you want to run the music player in the background. So you use a service instead of using an activity. It doesn't have a face value. It means it doesn't have a UI as such. So it just runs in the background. User doesn't see anything if you run a service. Only if we run an activity, user has a UI component and he sees the screen. Okay, coming on to the content providers. These are basically a database management system. For example, address book, you have in address book you have the name and number, email ID, various other details. So how is this data managed in Android? So content providers are the things that we use up to managing all of this. For querying, deleting the data, to insert data, so various features. For example, if you want to save some images as well, so we can use this content provider features and save images in the database. Okay, I'll just go through some of the development tools, like the development tools which Android will be using are Eclipse. This is the runtime environment, development environment, which we'll be using for development purpose. And you'll have Android SDK, which is the software development kit, which contains all your framework code and all of this. Eclipse, it has Eclipse and development tools which you'll be using for application development. Okay, emulator is nothing but a replica of the actual device, actual phone. It is just a virtual environment where you can run your application and see if it's working fine or not. It is basically for development purpose. So one of the limitation it has, it doesn't support camera. So this is one of the limitation it has. Apart from that, you can just test your application in any ways. It's running, if the intended features are running or not. So this was basically about emulator. And these are some of the devices which are there in the market. Now they are all upgraded. Samsung has S5 now, which is the latest one, and Motorola has Moto G and other devices which are coming up in the market. So we'll just go through just basic components of Hello World application. So okay, yeah, I'll just tell you in detail how an activity life cycle works. Okay. Okay, starting with the activity start. For example, you're using some application like okay, WhatsApp application you're using. So as soon as you click on to the launcher of WhatsApp, you get all your contacts details, all your friend details. So this is an activity which starts. Okay, as soon as the activity start is called onCreate, there is a callback function called onCreate. So what onCreate does is all the UI components like all the buttons and all your labels and all the images that you want to display in activity, that's all gets created at that stage. And as soon as there is a next call which is onStart, that is called, so the activity starts and the user sees that activity on the screen. Okay. So activity is in running here. after on resume. On resume is nothing but it is a default call after start. So that activity comes to the foreground. Foreground means it is visible to the user. Okay. So here the activity is running state. Okay. Then if at all you click in one of the your friend's name, so you'll be traversed to one more screen, a different screen. That is also an activity. The previous activity is it goes to on pause. So it goes to a background state. It is no more visible to the user. So it goes to the on pause state. Okay, so you'll get a different activity which is on foreground state. This is what the user sees. So user sees only those activities which are in the foreground. Okay. Yeah. So when you click after when you click back button, so activity gets stopped. So it goes to the stop state whenever you click on back button. So it goes to the stop state, then it comes to the previous activity, all the friends list, it comes in the WhatsApp. So if at all again you click back button, the activity stops. So both the activities, they are all stopped. So here the next component and the next feature is called on destroy, which gets called when there is a lack of memory. Okay, it gets called when there is lack of memory. For example, if you are using an Android device with 1 GB of RAM, okay, so if at all you're using some 5 to 6 applications at the same time, using some game application and you're using some browser application, WhatsApp and various other applications you use, and you have consumed like in 1 GB, you consume some 800 MB. Okay, you consume some 800 MB. So the system sees that it is loaded with lot of data and memory. So what it does is there is a concept called LMK, a low memory killer. It is an efficient algorithm that is there in the framework. So it tries to see if there are it tries to see if there are some activities or some application which have not been used for a longer time. For example, not use an game application for last 2-3 hours, but it is there in your memory. It is there in the background. So this efficient algorithm tries to destroy that application so that it frees up the memory and you get the last memory, and so in that way, based on the priority of the various applications, the memory gets freed up. It comes down to like 400 or 300 MB. Okay. Coming on to other features of Android, like there is a location manager. For example, Google Maps. You have it is one of the location manager features of Android. So this all features you can have it in your application. Yeah. There is other features like notification managers, where you can notify users about like a missed call or voicemail or some USB connected. So this feature you can have it in your app from the notification manager. These are various views which you can have it in your applications. Like these are labels towards the left side, and you have buttons and radio buttons you have, and towards the right you have all the images views. Yeah, this all views we can have it in our applications. This is another example how we can build up your applications. We have various a list in the middle, and towards the right there we have a browser application, like if Google is open. Yeah. We have location manager again. So these are the various location managers that you can use it in your application. And yeah, that's it from my side. So basically an idea, an overview of what we have in Android. So if you have any questions, I can take up.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Actually, sir, ये Android classes हैं, ये full free है, और ये क्या timing क्या है इसका?
इसका बेसिकली 8 बजे होगा, सुबह 8 बजे से 9 बजे होगा, और आपको वेरियस जो फेयर है और फीस है, तो BISP जो है जो ये कंपनी है, आप वहाँ पे कॉल कीजिए, आपको पूरा डिटेल से बताएंगे.
अच्छा, तो ये बेसिकली ऐसे ही होगा क्या ऑनलाइन, मतलब?
हाँ, ऑनलाइन होगा. आज मैंने बस ओवरव्यू बताया है आपको. ओके. और मैं नेक्स्ट क्लासेस से आपको जो वेरियस एप्लीकेशन कैसा बिल्ड करते हैं, कैसा कंपोनेंट होता है, तो वो हम डिटेल्स में, ये 20 दिन का कोर्स होगा, तो उसमें हम लोग एक एक कंपोनेंट पे काम करेंगे.
अच्छा, 20 डेज का है?
हाँ, 20 डेज का होगा.
अच्छा.
ओके. So the classes will be starting from Tuesday at 8 a.m. From Tuesday I'll be beginning the course at 8 a.m. every day. Any other questions?
Not
you
from
can
my
ask me any
side.
questions. Yeah, anybody, do you have any other questions?
सर, आज का लेक्चर बहुत बोरिंग था सर.
क्योंकि ये प्रैक्टिकल नहीं था, तो थोड़ा सा बोरिंग लगेगा. बट when we start up the practical things, we'll make it more
एक्चुअली
interesting.
हाँ, एक प्रैक्टिकल होना चाहिए था हेलो वर्ल्ड का.
हाँ, एक्चुअली मैं कर सकता था. मेरा एक्चुअली यहाँ पे 1 second, I'll just try that. Actually have some technicalities, difficulties here at my system, using a new system. So I'm really sorry I won't be able to show you some Hello World. Maybe during we start the course, we'll start up with the practical things. So I'm really
Yeah.
sorry for that.
Yeah, not an issue.
Some
लेकिन
educational.
सर एक्चुअली
Okay.
ये ऑनलाइन है ना, तो इसलिए थियोरी और बोरिंग हो जाता है. लाइक इट बिकम लाइक क्लासरूम.
Uh, yeah,
Theory
yeah.
with practical
Yeah, the
will
thing
it will
is,
be very beneficial.
yeah, during the course we'll be just focusing on practicals. I'll be showing in my environment this small application codes, and in the same time you can start up in your system. I'll be guiding you up with various things, how to work on Eclipse and how to build up
So
small programs and
so
small
sir,
components.
basically the only
I'll be showing
two
you.
software is needed, no? That Eclipse and that SDK, Android SDK.
Yeah, I can give you the links. I have an Android SDK, but just finding some difficulty in my Java, this thing here.
Okay,
Okay.
we have to be installed Java also on my PC.
Yeah, you have to have Java
Okay, Java JDK
in your
na,
PC.
JDK 1.6 I think. So Java, Eclipse and that Android SDK.
Yeah. Yeah, Kashyap, you're there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. So
Hello?
you're telling something, I just missed that. Yeah.
No, I was telling that basically just three software is needed. No, yeah, this Java SDK and Android SDK and Eclipse.
Yeah, Eclipse will be there in your ADT. It is actually Android development tool, a complete package you will get in developers.android. Okay, so when you download that, it is around 350 MB. You'll get Eclipse within that package, so you don't need to
Okay.
download any Eclipse as such. And Java you have to JDK you have to download. These are the both things. And you have to set the path JDK path in your system path. That is
Yeah.
environmental variables. Yeah, so that we can start up with the development.
So the prerequisite for it is Java.
Yeah, Java is
Right?
prerequisite. You can have a basic idea of Java, various classes you use. Basically, we have a basic funda. If you have in Java, we can develop Android in the Android. You need to have basic clarity in terms of class components and inheritance, those kind of basics if you have in Java. Core Java is what is required. You don't need to get into depth of Java to understand Android.
Okay.
Yeah, any other questions?